Good morning, evening, or night, wherever you are. Welcome to WHAM today. Take a deep breath, clear your mind, and let's drift through whispers of today's world, one quiet thought at a time. As we wrap up Sunday, 6 July 2025, let's see what stories are unfolding around us. The United States faces a critical July 9 deadline to finalize a tariff deal with the European Union, with the possibility of a no-deal outcome. Former President Donald Trump has discussed the potential deployment of Patriot missile systems to Ukraine and suggested the U.S. could reach a trade agreement with India, while expressing skepticism about a deal with Japan. A U.S. expert speculates that US strikes on Iran could potentially lead to another Trump-Kim summit at Panmunjom. The U.S. Air Force suspended a SpaceX rocket project on a Pacific atoll and terminated the E-7 Wedgetail early warning aircraft program. The strengthened euro against the U.S. dollar could negatively impact us offshorers. Turning to Ukraine, the Kremlin is reportedly celebrating the pause in its weapons aid to the country. The potential deployment of US Patriot missile systems to Ukraine has been discussed by former President Donald Trump. Meanwhile, Australia is investing in its military capabilities, including the procurement of new AIM-120 missiles, and is set to acquire $2.12 billion worth of AMRAAM missiles. Former Prime Minister Keating is meeting with Australian leaders to strengthen military partnerships. A UK carrier strike group and US carrier strike group 25 are sailing to Australia for exercise Talisman Sabre, the largest ever iteration of the exercise. The Lowy Institute is currently examining whether Australia perceives China as a threat. Across the Atlantic, European Union negotiators are working to finalize a tariff deal with the US by a crucial July 9 deadline. Failure to reach an agreement remains a possibility. A strengthening euro against the US dollar could negatively impact European exporters. Shifting focus to China, the Lowy Institute is examining whether Australia perceives the country as a threat. In the Philippines, the USS George Washington is making a port visit in Manila. Elsewhere, potential US strikes on Iran could lead to another Trump-Kim summit at Panmunjom, according to a U.S. expert. Finally, a U.S. expert has speculated that US strikes on Iran could potentially lead to another Trump-Kim summit at Panmunjom in North Korea. Ukraine remains embattled as Russia gears up for a major summer offensive, allegedly targeting the Sumy region and planning its most substantial combined strike yet. Ukraine, in turn, asserts it successfully struck a Russian airbase, while Moscow launched hundreds of drones targeting Kyiv. Adding to Ukraine's challenges, the United States Department of Defense, DoD, has paused ammunition shipments. Former President Donald Trump stressed the importance of Patriot missiles for Ukraine's defense against Russia. Meanwhile, the Air Force showcased a successful Raven air defense strike in southern Ukraine. The ongoing hostilities create turbulence for airlines, raising concerns about flight safety and potential interference with flight systems. Turning to the United Kingdom, the nation grapples with the fallout from pro-Palestinian activism. Following Parliament's ban on Palestine action, 4 individuals have been charged with vandalism, further escalating security concerns. 4 pro-Palestinian activists face charges after breaching a UK military base. Reports highlighting the use of inadequate security measures, such as small fences, at UK air bases have intensified scrutiny and sparked calls for improved protection. Israel finds itself in a complex situation, with the ongoing conflict with Iran potentially serving as a convenient distraction for its leaders amidst internal challenges. Furthermore, the United States is reportedly considering bolstering the Israeli Air Force with advanced B-2 stealth bombers and powerful bunker-buster bombs, signaling continued military cooperation. On the domestic front, a Tel Aviv family court is grappling with a contentious divorce case involving an estimated $100 million, with allegations of the husband concealing substantial wealth. Iran, much like its regional rival Israel, sees its leaders possibly leveraging the ongoing tensions to divert attention from domestic concerns. Turning to the United Kingdom, the government is contemplating designating Palestine Action, a group known for its direct actions against Israeli defense companies operating within the UK, as a terrorist organization, marking a significant escalation in its approach to groups targeting Israeli interests. Russia stands to benefit substantially should India acquire the Su-57 fighter jet. Military experts are also assessing whether Russia's future sixth-generation packed strategic bomber will exceed the capabilities of the American B-21 Raider. Amid the ongoing conflict, Russia launched what Ukraine described as its largest aerial assault of the war. Russian air defenses claim to have intercepted multiple Ukrainian drones, including 2 near St. Petersburg. Turning to Ukraine, amidst the continuing conflict with Russia, a Ukrainian F-16 pilot was killed during a Russian aerial assault. The Ukrainian Air Force released footage showcasing a British Raven Systems successful interception of Russian targets. Ukraine reported that Russia launched its largest aerial attack of the war, targeting various regions across the country. India is strengthening its defense capabilities and international collaborations. The country is set to acquire Apache helicopters, enhancing its aerial combat capabilities. The commissioning of INS Tamar bolsters India's naval power and its defense ties with Russia. The Air Force is actively engaged in joint exercises with both the British and Indian navies, promoting interoperability and strategic cooperation. The Royal Australian Air Force is conducting patrols in the Indian Ocean, operating out of Goa, India, underscoring the region's strategic importance and collaborative security efforts. India's prior efforts to designate terrorist Masood Azhar globally are also noteworthy in its counter-terrorism strategy. Shifting focus to South Korea, the nation is evaluating the future of its attack helicopter fleet. Considerations are being made to potentially retire their AH-64 Apache helicopters. European Union and World Trade Organization. The European Union is actively seeking alternative routes to navigate around the current gridlock in the World Trade Organization, WTO, a situation largely attributed to actions initiated by the United States. Germany. Germany's future as a host for U.S. military personnel is still uncertain, as the United States has not yet made a final decision regarding its military presence there. Recent activity includes a visit by General Myers to the families of the 1st Armored Division who are stationed in Germany. In related news, the German Air Force has proposed its TH-50 heavy-lift helicopters as a possible purchase option for the Argentine Armed Forces, potentially strengthening defense ties. Argentina is strengthening its defense cooperation with the United States through recent military acquisitions. The country signed a strategic support agreement with Terma to modernize its air force, coinciding with the acquisition of F-16 fighter jets. Moreover, Argentina is proceeding with plans to equip its army with Stryker armored combat vehicles via a letter of offer and acceptance with the U.S. Iran is under observation for potential cyber threats and military developments. Government agencies caution that Iran-backed hackers may be targeting US defense companies with ties to Israel, raising concerns about escalating cyber warfare. Furthermore, Iran is actively revitalizing the Northrop F-5, demonstrating its commitment to strengthening its military resources. While military intervention might offer a short-term disruption to Iran's nuclear program, diplomatic solutions are considered more effective and enduring for achieving non-proliferation goals. Brazil is currently hosting a BRICS summit where leaders are discussing ways to challenge Western dominance and reshape the global order. Strategies focus on trade and global influence. India is strengthening its ties with South America. Specifically, India is increasing defense and nuclear cooperation with Argentina and Brazil. South Korea has solidified its air power with a $1.76 billion deal to acquire 20 additional KF-21 Army fighter jets, costing $110 per plane. This procurement decision reflects ongoing strategic assessments related to South Korea's defense posture and its potential involvement in regional conflicts, including scenarios involving Taiwan. South Africa's Air Force chief recently traveled to Pakistan, signaling a move towards enhanced collaboration between the two nations' air forces. The visit included discussions with the Chairman Joint Chiefs of Staff Committee, CJSSC, focusing on fortifying defense cooperation and addressing regional issues of shared concern. Pakistan's strategic importance and its role in regional stability were likely key topics during these high-level talks, given the evolving geopolitical landscape. Afghanistan's stability continues to depend heavily on air power capabilities. Donald Rumsfeld's past visit involved discussions with U.S. troops stationed within the country, highlighting the ongoing international military presence. The United Kingdom is facing renewed international scrutiny over its administration of the Chagos Islands. Separately, the UK is developing the Raven air defense missile system, intended for use in Ukraine. Additionally, Pakistan is procuring refurbished hovercraft from the UK's ex-Royal Marines. The UK is also joining Japan, the US, Canada, Singapore, South Korea, and other nations in adopting more stringent battery regulations for enhanced air travel safety. Colombia is showing interest in potentially acquiring the Chinese J-10 warplane to bolster its air force. Denmark is preparing to assume the EU presidency during a particularly challenging period for the Union. Ethiopia is actively pursuing the development of a modern and capable military force. Indonesia's Defense Minister Prabowo Subianto is commencing a three-nation tour, beginning with a visit to Saudi Arabia and continuing to Brazil. Iraq is taking steps to improve its air defense systems through the planned purchase of Korean missiles and French radar technology. Japan is collaborating with the US, Canada, Singapore, the UK, South Korea, and other countries to enforce stricter battery control measures for flight safety. Malaysia has formally named and launched its second littoral combat ship, strengthening its naval capabilities. Pakistan is shifting its focus from primarily air-based relief operations to broader, ground-based assistance. Pakistan is also acquiring refurbished hovercraft previously used by the UK's Royal Marine. The Philippines is exploring the acquisition of A2&C, Airborne Early Warning and Control, aircraft to enhance its aerial surveillance capabilities. Saudi Arabia is the first stop for Indonesia's Defense Minister, Prabowo Subianto, on his three-nation diplomatic trip. Switzerland is facing new controversy related to a possible acquisition of fighter jets from the United States. The United States has paused shipments of missiles and ammunition to Ukraine, according to confirmation from the White House. And that's a wrap for today's news, because even headlines need a nap. Stay curious, stay kind, and let the noise fade as you find your quiet. Take care, stay awesome, and I'll see you next time on WHAM Today.